Everyone, welcome to our App Academy Day. So excited that you're here. I am your host, Amy Keenan from Insightful Accountant, here to host this webinar and introduce our amazing lineup today that we have. Makers Hub is up next, Ted, so I appreciate you joining the App Academy today, sharing a little bit about what you guys do and how you help our QuickBooks provisors, accountants, and bookkeepers. So I'm going to let you take it away. Just let me know when you would like me to launch your poll.
Cool. Okay. So for those of you that haven't heard of Makers Hub, we are an AP automation, AP payment product, but we're a little bit different in that most AP products and some of the legacy ones focus primarily on the bill payment, right? So not so much on the extraction of the data, but only on the bill payment and how to make that, like, get you to that as quick as possible. But now that we're into, or not now, but now that CAS and pre-accounting has become like this, the new buzzwords and stuff like that, the actual detail of the checks are pretty darn important for us to take a look at. And there's other things that some of these legacy OCR products haven't been able to do. And that's because they all use some very, very old technology. So Makers Hub was built around, obviously, the payments. We focused a lot on the payments, but where we are different is in the data extraction and extracting that data in the bills is where we really shine. Obviously, the payments as well, but this is what sets us apart from everything else. So I have a few examples. So this is the Makers Hub dashboard. And I'm going to first tell you why OCR is in the past been like lackluster. And it's because the technology that is used is extremely out of date. And if you think about all the new technology just in the last 5 years that has been released, especially around AI and large language models and being able to tell what data you're extracting, it's just ripe for somebody like a Makers Hub to come in and really utilize that technology and exploit it in a way that makes your jobs easier for anyone that's doing AP for their clients or may want to do AP for your clients. And especially in like a value-based practice where you're spending somebody's time, maybe not your own, but somebody's time, or even in an hourly-based practice where you're spending hours typing in data, correcting data, and then making these payments. This can be a game changer. I do these webinars once a week on another platform, and some people say that they spend between 11 and 20 hours a week, or even over 20 hours a week doing data entry and corrections for bills that they're in the AP process. So we're going to go in. I'm going to show you some examples of the power of our product and exactly what it can do. So first, I'm going to show you the different dashboards and screens. This is where all of our bills come in, and they come in through emails. You can drag and drop them in. You can do all sorts of stuff like that. But we're going to take a look at these bills. But before we do that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a few that are some pretty fun bills to take a look at. So let me just pull them up here, and I apologize for any slowness. But so we have a couple of bills here that are normally in a legacy OCR product are gonna kill the product. One is a sample, this invoice with 8 different combined. It's one file with 8 combined invoices and receipts in here. In fact, one's handwritten, the other one's printed out through a little receipt machine. I think we're gonna add that one in to Makers Hub, and we'll see how this extracts and knows where one bill ends and the other one begins. Because this, in some of these legacy OCR products, can really break the product, right? So it doesn't know what to do with these bills. Now, the next bill that's kind of in the same arena as that one is this Home Depot bill. This Home Depot bill is 68 pages long, and there's 63 bills inside of this one file. Within all of these bills, there's over 3,000 line items that are in here. So if you could imagine how many hours or / days that this might take for data entry or for anyone to enter, and then probably after the first 15, I mean, it's only anyone's guess what the actual accuracy might be of this. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to load this one in as well. So the other thing that people are very spend a lot of time on is if something is wrong within the extraction, there's no way to teach the system how to get it right the next time. So I'm going to add these glass and mirror ones in, and we're going to do these as well. So it's not going to take us long. So while these process, this 68-page one normally takes about, let's see if I actually uploaded it. I think it normally takes about 47 seconds. So let's first go in to this. Oh, it's already done, this 63 bills process. I'm going to go into Belimo error controls first, and we're going to see exactly what happens here when it gets extracted and what gets extracted. So this Belimo error controls, the data or the actual invoice / bill is on the left-hand side, and the data that was extracted from MakersHub is on the right-hand side. So a couple of things you'll notice on this bill is that all the detail is in here. We have the customer PO matched to the customer PO. We have the due dates and all that stuff. But let's just say for giggles here, this isn't the field that we want to use for customer PO. We've told our vendor about 100 times that we use project name as PO, but they just can't seem to get it straight. So instead of telling the vendor another time, I'm just going to tell MakersHub by going into the PO right here. And because we scan every single data point that's on this invoice or bill, I can use this little magnifying glass to search all the fields that are on the invoice. And I can say project name, I'm just typing it in. And I can say, all right, every time this invoice comes in, instead of using the regular PO number, I want you to always use project name, but only when it comes in for Belimo error controls. So now we've set up what we call an OCR training that says anytime this comes in, simply disregard the PO and use project name instead. Now, doesn't matter if we got it wrong, we can always delete the OCR training, but now it's in there. So the next time this bill comes in, we don't have to do that. And then as you see, as the PO comes in, we're going to suggest POs that may match based on the number or the name. And all we simply need to do is click down, load the project name. But now the other thing on this invoice is that because we do all the detail, and as you see here, it doesn't matter where the items are. We have our SKU number, our full description, the quantity, the price, and the extended price. But because we bring out all this detail, we also do a separate check on did we get it right? And what we're seeing here is that the invoice total at the bottom page here does not match the sum of the total line items. And that's because this invoice is weird. Look at, they have a 4% discount that they've given us because it's an order value discount. But the way that this vendor created their bill, there's no area on here that actually shows what the discount is, right? So we have the total bill here, which is the total invoice. Normally you would see like the total of $12,700 and some odd dollars, right? Then you would see another line item that says discount, and then you would see the invoice number. But for some reason, Belimo doesn't like to do that on their bills. So let's teach MakersHub to do it for us. So we see this difference of $509. That just happens to be the 4% that we're looking for. So all I need to do is hit add an adjustment line So I have this adjustment line in here now. And so what I'm going to do is say, create this and say order value discount. And because I have the word discount in here, I can now spread, if I want to, the discount amongst all the line items, so I can get a true cost of goods sold. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep the order value discount in here because I'm going to take my efficiency up one other notch here. I'm going to go into this integration mapping, and I'm going to create kind of like a bank rule, but for my bills. And I'm going to say anytime that the category details in the line items equals the word discount, automatically code it to the chart of account codes in QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, vendor discount. And I'm going to update settings. So now we have everything basically extrapolated or extracted out of this bill. We have it totaled, matched up. It's going to go to vendor discount every single time. It's going to use the correct PO number. I can even view purchase orders from QuickBooks as well. And now all I need to do is approve this, and it goes through all the approval workflows that need to be done. So the next thing we're gonna talk about here is instances where maybe MakersHub, and I'm going to just change this invoice number so it doesn't tell me that I have a duplicate. Instances where we get it wrong. It's not the invoice, because we don't say we're going to be 100% accurate all the time, right? But as you use the product and train it, the product gets smarter. So here's our invoice from Glass and Mirror Craft. All right, I'm going to tell MakersHub that the total is wrong. I'm not going to add an adjustment line this time. I'm going to teach it that it missed the word surcharge here, and it needs to add this line item to the actual detail. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to hit add a line item. I'm going to click on this blue magnifying glass, and I'm just going to type in the word surcharge. And now what I've trained it to do every single time a Glass and Mirror Craft invoice or bill comes in is to always look for surcharge and then add the amount that's next to it. So it doesn't matter if our vendor changes the bill or whatever, it's always going to look for surcharge regardless of where that surcharge is. Again, I'm going to set up an integration mapping, and I'm going to say another one. If the description equals surcharge, automatically code it to the chart of accounts field, surcharge and convenience fees within QuickBooks Online or Desktop. Now watch, as soon as I approve it, it should load our next Glass and Mirror Craft. And now it's remembered. If you take a look here, it says surcharge. It's a different one, obviously, but I don't have to do anything. It's automatically done for me. The only thing I need to do now is hit approve. So that's the power of our OCR training, and you never have to go through this training again. And I see someone raise their hand. I'm not sure if there's a question or not, but if there's a question, somebody can just either shout it out or maybe not.
Nope, no question.
Okay. All right.
You're good. Keep going.
The next thing that really kills you when you're going into these AP automation legacy products is when somebody sends you a single file like this one with multiple bills inside of it. This normally what people will do is just enter it in by hand or take it into like Adobe and separate out each invoice and then import them and then put them in. With MakersHub, you simply just upload the file, and we know where one invoice ends and the next one begins. So these are all in here. This is the Floral Supply Syndicate, the very first one for $99.50. If I go to the next one, this one is with all the detail, keep in mind, for $14.07. And then we're just going to go to the fifth one here because they're all separated out for us. But the fifth one is actually in handwriting. MakersHub can read handwriting as long as you can read it, we can read it. If you try to upload a doctor prescription, we're probably not going to be able to read it. And then I can do all of the things that MakersHub allows me to do, like I have a training that says anytime Kimura Plus comes in as a receipt, I have an agreement with the vendor that they're going to put the PO number on the memo line. So I've taught MakersHub to look for this memo line and automatically put in the PO number from the handwriting. All that needs to be done is move it to receipts. Since it is a receipt, it's already been paid. I'm going to hit move to receipts, and then I can select the credit card it was paid from, and then just hit approve. Now let's take a look at this Home Depot one. Like I said, it was 68 bills, but there are 68 pages, but there's 63 bills inside of here. So in a situation like this, MakersHub, it takes about 47 seconds to extract every single data point on here, as well as every single line item, extended price, the quantity, as well as PO numbers, net terms, and all that stuff. And if you look at this one, this is a 1 of 2 pager, right? So, and I pulled this one up specifically because there's the first page, there's the second page, and then here's all the data that MakersHub has actually pulled out of this one individual bill slash receipt payment that's in here. So we have every single bit of line item data that you'd want to, take out of here and put in. But let's just say for giggles here that we don't want all this line item data. I want to, whenever anything comes in from Home Depot, I really don't care because I'm charging it to the client every single time. It's just a part of, I go in and I get reimbursed for it or whatever. I can go in and I can hit collapse line items, and I can hit I can either type in the description if I want, or I can use this magnifying glass here, and I'm going to hit enrollment token. Let's just say that's the field I want. And I'm going to hit check mark. And now none of the details are going to come through. Just the total price of this receipt is coming through. So I don't have to scan every single invoice that comes in, but it's going to on all the rest of them now. If I hit approve on this one, this is for a different client and everything, so it didn't do it, but it will collapse the line items normally for me on every single one of these, on one of these bills that come through. So the other thing that is in some cases, this is where we can save your clients money or even businesses money, is we don't hard code the payment terms into your vendors, because payment terms actually rely on the date that the bill that of the invoice and all these other things. We scan the payment terms regardless of where they are on the actual bill, and now we can use our smart logic to actually do something with these payment terms. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to hit approve. There's an unassigned account. Let me just assign just some weird, and so I've approved that. So let's go in now to the accounts payable, and I'm going to show you a couple of really cool things in here. So I'm going to go to Rushco. This is the one with those payment terms, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to schedule payment. Now, because we contextualize all this data and we understand, because we're using large language models and AI to understand what these data points are, it says I have a few days, about two or 3 days to actually apply this net term discount. I didn't even know it was here if I was a user, right? I mean, I did because I do this demo a lot, but you don't even have to know this net term was here. It will let you know on the previous screen that you have a net term discount to apply. And all I need to do is hit apply. Now I've applied that net term discount. I can schedule the payment through MakersHub, or I can pay it through QuickBooks, and it will have everything on the QuickBooks check including the net term discount on the check with the lowered price. So that's a great way to help your clients save money, or even help your business save money, is by taking advantage of these net term discounts. The other thing that our CPAs and partners actually really love about Accounting Suite is our ability to make changes quick. So we've had a lot of our partners frustrated because most payment platforms like this, they can't pay like IRS vouchers or IRS payments with, because when they're creating the check, they need to create the check stub. And if MakersHub is creating the check, there's no way to get that check stub in here. Well, we've just done a new release where I can go in and I can add, and I'm just going to go into the actual check here. So or the actual bill, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and I have my payment voucher here. I want to add this payment voucher to the check that that MakersHub is going to send out for me. So all I need to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this voucher by simply hitting screenshot, and I'm going to just paste it in to MakersHub. So I just pasted it right here, and I'm going to call it payment voucher, and I'm just going to hit add. So I've added the payment voucher to my supporting documents. I'm going to click out of here, and then I'm going to see this little check attachment. I'm going to scroll down. I could attach the original invoice if I wanted, or I can attach this screenshot, this payment voucher. This is what it's going to look like when it prints out and it prints out in the envelope with the check that's submitted. It's going to have the amount due. It's going to have the whole voucher. Then what I could also do is even be even more anal about what I'm doing here, and type in the case number on the check. And now I can schedule that payment. It's going to print the case number on the check. It's going to include the voucher in the check as well when MakersHub makes that payment to the IRS. A couple other things is the ability to actually go in, because normally when like these type of OCR or AP payment products send these bills out for you, there's no way to find out what's happening with that bill if it's been cashed. So if your vendor calls and says, hey, you know what, you told me you paid this bill like 2 weeks ago, we haven't seen it. If you're using a payment process where they take the funds out and pay on their own accounts, you don't have the flexibility to do the research. With MakersHub, we can go in, I can take a look at the check or the payment information that went into this check, where the actual invoice, all right, who approved the payment, and then where it came from, the bank account, and then the physical check information. I have a copy of the actual check that was sent out. I have a copy of the front image of the deposited check, and I have a copy of the back image of the actual check as well. So I have all that information now for vendor disputes or whatever, even though I didn't do the check myself. And then if it's an ACH, obviously I have the same information along with the ACH trace number and all of that good stuff. So those are some of the benefits of using like a MakersHub. The other thing is our ability to do approval workflows. So we have two different types of workflows. We have workflows for approving bills, and then separate workflows, because we know that people who approve the payments are often different than the person who approves the bill. We can create separate payment workflows versus bill approval workflows. And the really cool thing is it's not just on total amount. Because we scan all of that information, we can go in and we can set up some pretty crazy workflow approval rules for you based on groups, based on user groups, and if it equals this class or this vendor, do this. So we can do many, many things as far as that's concerned. And then one other thing, and then I will shut up, is the ability to do 1099 management within MakersHub. So if I go into, let's find one that I haven't done yet. I'm going to go into this Pierpont property management, and I can go in now and securely either upload a 1099 form by simply just dragging and dropping it, or I can request that the vendor actually submit one. So I can select who it is. I can go in and say, we require a 1099 form. Please fill it out. And I can send the email request to that vendor. And either they then can securely upload it, or they themselves can go in securely in MakersHub. They don't need a user account or anything. They can just securely go in and type in their W-9 information in an online form that will then come back through here. You can approve it, and now they can get their payments. So, in a rather large nutshell, I think I had 30 minutes, correct?
Yes, that's a lot of information.
Yeah, I normally do it in an hour, but I tried to go as fast as I possibly could.
Well, that's a lot of stuff that you need to show. So yeah, I will launch your poll now. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A right now, and we will get to them. Just gonna see. We do have questions for you. I have a client that is running into problems with payment limits. Bill payments fail due to payment threshold limits. Intuit is telling us that these daily, weekly, monthly limits will not be shared. How do you adjust first?
I don't believe that we have bill payment limits. We have some pretty large mobile cellular companies that use our product that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments, and we've never run into any issues with these larger bill payments. I hope that answers the question.
The same person has another question. If your bill maps back to an existing PO, is there a provision to show line items not received on the PO?
Not in MakersHub right now. We have a PO module coming out within the next couple of months that you'll actually be able to not only edit the PO in MakersHub, but also create POs and manage your POs within MakersHub, and it will seamlessly sync back and forth between QuickBooks Online or desktop, whatever QuickBooks you're using. And we're also doing starting, I believe, next month or the month after, Sage Intacct as well.
So yeah, if you do have any other questions, we will put the contact information. We'll have all this information in the recording email for you when we do send it out. But as I mentioned, thank you so much for joining us today for our App Academy. Thank you for all of our presenters for being here, sharing their great solutions, how they can help automate, streamline, make things easier for you. We do truly appreciate you being part of App Academy. So thank you everyone for being here, and I hope to see you again soon.